Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
You know that great line from Diner?
Oh, there's 100 of them. Which one?
You ever get the idea there's something going on out there we don't know anything about?
Oh, boy, there's a lot going on.
That's the way I feel when I watched a team like Kansas City play. Holy mackerel. We don't have that here.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
You heard the Houston news today, right, on the baseball team,
Yes.
the Astros?
Yes.
And as I said on Twitter, at least they have the Texans playoff run to go to comfort them after not only blowing a 24-point lead but getting blown out.
Was it truly incredible? Truly incredible.
It was fantastic. Your guy Mahomes has made you an even bigger fan, I would think.
Oh my word! I can't get enough of that kid. He's just so fantastic. He made. Who am I thinking of? Oh, Deshaun Watson looked like Cousins.
And Deshaun Watson, you need an axe to knock him down.
Right.
But he's, man alive. Well, you see those guys play quarterback, and you wish Kirk had just a little more mobility.
Just a little bit more.
A little bit more. I think on Saturday, our guy Kirk started ducking a little early on some of those, but I don't blame him. His life was in danger.
Not a good offensive line, is it?
Ooh, they always talk about Zim wanting to protect his defense with the running game. I think he's protecting that offensive line with a running game because that was just a porous effort. Joe.
Yes.
Against the Packers.
Yep.
They had in December. They had 7 first downs.
Mm-hmm.
That was their lowest total since 1971 in a game. And they equaled it Saturday, and they were lucky because they got 2 after the game was over in the last 5 minutes or so.
Isn't that something? Wow.
7 first downs, 147 yards, and until garbage time where they got 60-some yards, they had 80-some yards. They went 27 minutes without a first down.
It was not competitive.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was a beating.
Yeah.
I heard you talking about the Fort Myers Beach Bar for Packer fans.
Well, yeah, were you there?
I was at the Fort Myers Beach Bar Saturday for Viking fans. Not a lot of celebration going on there.
What's the name of that bar? Is that the Parrot?
The Lighthouse Tiki Bar.
Lighthouse
Tiki
Bar.
Where they set it up. And now, when I went there 2 years ago, I ran into this bachelorette party where they were all hammered and crazy Viking fans. And then Diggs caught the pass from Keenum, and they had a good time.
Yeah.
But this time the crowd was about average age, and they were a bunch of cheap asses who weren't buying many drinks. And it was a very quiet.
Well, then why go if you're not buying any drinks? Why even go?
They buy a beer once in a while, but it's not like they're there to get completely hammered, which is why you should be at you think that Packer bar Joe was talking about, there was anybody sober in the whole place? Hell no.
Hey, at least we got a great Timberwolves and Wild season to look forward to here. Holy man.
Everybody was excited about the Wild having 11 home games out of the next 12 after they play Pittsburgh. They're home for 11 out of 12, but it's gotten to the point in the NHL it doesn't make any difference if you're home or away. It's going to be 3-2, and
they got hammered again yesterday, 4-1.
4-1. That's okay.
Yeah.
So
they're not going to the playoffs, Pat.
They're now. I think they're now 8 points behind already. So
there's no evidence to suggest they're going to make up that difference.
Well, they'll have to have a big. Hard core homestand, and as I say, if they can keep Luke Dillon away, maybe they got a chance.
Yeah.
I haven't checked this. I haven't checked to see if he watched, if he was in attendance for Sunday's abomination.
Sounds like he may have been.
So anyway, the Astros. Wow.
That's quite a find.
$5 million. Well, Jim Crane, you played at Jim Crane's golf course.
Yeah,
the Floridian. Yeah. Yes, he spends more time there than he does bothering with the Astros. But the general manager and the manager, I was surprised Hinch got suspended. I figured the general manager would, but then first and second rounders for the next 2 years in the draft too. So they're trying to send a message to the other teams in Major League Baseball that with all this technology, be honest, stop cheating, you SOBs, right? This might help a little bit.
Well, I'm getting a bit of an education here because when I hear about these teams trying to steal signs, I've always filed it under the same mischief as Gaylord Perry having a nail file in his pocket.
Yeah, except that was when a guy was out at second base and using his own astuteness to pick up on a pattern. It wasn't with a camera zeroed in and having four analytic guys deciding what the pattern is for the stealing signs. This is a little different. Reavers, I'm right? The World Series film showed the little tent where they had the garbage can, right?
And you could hear it. You could hear the guy banging on it right before the pitch was delivered every time.
They had what's called prima facie evidence that these guys were doing this.
No, I'm converted. I think it's wrong. I'm converted.
Well, and Alex Cora over here, who won with the Red Sox in 2018, and supposedly they were stealing signs with their technology. He's going to end up getting suspended too because he was a bench coach in 2017 in Houston, so he took part of these concepts with him. I bet that they're not going to slap the Red Sox nearly as hard as they did Houston, but I bet Cora gets suspended.
Joe, in the town ball circuit, we're known for stealing signs because we play the same 12 teams every year, so we know what everybody else's signs are all the time.
Plus, it's 1, 2, and 3. They put down three fingers. There isn't a whole lot of rubbing them across your chest and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, you can do it there.
How much did you like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I liked it.
I can take it or leave it.
I don't know. I like once you get used to them in his movie where they killed all the Nazis. What was the name of that one? The Brad Pitt movie.
Oh, I know. I like that.
Inglourious Bastards. Once you get used to the idea that he's going to give you an alternate view of history, I did kind of like the fact that they came up with a way for Sharon Tate not to get stabbed to death. So right. I liked it.
I have to admit, I liked when he threw on the flamethrower at the end, too.
Yes, he likes flamethrowers,
Fried Squeaky Fromm in the pool.
Yeah, he did. Of course, he had the flamethrower in the in Inglourious Bastards, too.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, I might be rushing into this, but I think our younger coworkers might not have a proper appreciation that you and I do for the great Buck Henry, who died.
Mangled puppies.
Dead, 89 years old.
Yeah.
One of the most perverse senses of humor in the history of man. He's my idol. And, of course, when he was Frank Nolan taking on a TV talk show with 10 lines.
Yep.
And he started off with tax-free municipal bonds as his show, as his topic. And it ended up being, I think, Russian communists, the Soviet communists should be allowed to break into your home and kill your puppies. Call me now.
And that didn't get any calls.
He couldn't get any calls on that. He also, in an attempt to get calls, he also supported incest. Yep. I practice it. How about you? Incest. No toilets for the blind. They make too big a mess. And no toilets for the blind and a couple other things. It was, but his whole deal. I looked up some stuff on him, Joe. From 1959 to 1962, he was just out of college. I think he was a Dartmouth guy or something. He and a guy named Alan Abel came up with a character named C. Clifford Prout from 1959 to 1962. And C. Clifford Prout, who was played by Buck, would appear on talk shows as being morally outraged the morally outraged president of the Society for Indecency to Naked Animals. He pushed the idea that animals who are shamelessly permitted to run around in public naked should be clothed. People believed this moral satire to the point that they were starting to have him appear on talk shows, and then they would make fun of him. And one of the guys who had him appear in all seriousness was Walter Cronkite, apparently had some kind of a show.
Oh, boy.
And even Walter fell for it. And once Walter found out, he never forgave Buck Henry for putting him over on it. But I was going back and looking at the Saturday Night Live stuff from those early years. No way they could get away with today what they got away with now. Remember Henry playing Uncle Roy?
Vaguely.
Uncle Roy was an overt pedophile babysitter who lasciviously enjoyed the innocent games Lorraine Newman and Gilded Radner played as the children he was watching.
Now, yep.
Yes.
Wow.
And when the skit is about to end, you can't help but think of the boundaries of bad taste. Then Henry ruefully adds, I think there's an Uncle Roy in every family. You couldn't even think about getting away with that today. Yeah. And it was incredible stuff.
Pat, a quote from your Society for Indecency to Naked Animals reporter. What kind of clothes do you propose to put on all the naked animals of the country? Henry, simple, decent, and comfortable clothing.
Oh, God, he was screwy. He was unbelievable. There was nothing too outrageous for him. And, of course, he wrote The Graduate. He did the Hollywood script for Catch-22, which had to be a damn near impossible script to write. And he did all kinds of. He also was a Get Smart originator.
Yeah.
Which people didn't get that at all. If you tried that fully satire today, it would never work.
The Owl and the Pussycat, What's Up, Doc, and To Die For. And I didn't know that he co-directed Heaven Can Wait in 1978 with Warren Beatty, sharing an Oscar nomination for Best Director.
He always put himself in his own movies, too.
Yes, he did.
Alfred Hitchcock did that.
In Catch-22, he played a colonel, Colonel Korn. And I can't remember who the other colonel was. I think Martin Balsam, maybe, who was. And the Yossarian, the great Alan Arkin, was just like completely mind blown as far as the war was concerned. He wanted to go home, and Korn and Buck Henry and Martin Balsam said they'd send him home if he told them they liked him, or if he told them that he liked them, they were going to let him go home. Of course, Joseph Heller's Catch-22 is one of the funniest books ever written in a perverse way. But God, I love it. I just thought he was just properly nuts. That's for sure. He was. And Saturday Night Live when it started, we had to be there every Saturday night, didn't we? I mean, at 10:30 at night, Saturday night, it was no matter what you were doing, even if you were out drinking rowdily, you had to be home to watch Saturday Night Live.
Absolutely true. Because
there was no taping to do. If you had missed it this time, you had to wait till summer to see it again. And they'd do anything back then because there was an appreciation for satire that we certainly don't have today.
Set the scene where you are right now.
I am in the Hammond Stadium press box, and there's a very tragic event taking place down here. Gladden's refrigerator has gotten unplugged, so there's no place to keep the Diet Cokes cold. Today. It's a very, usually but when I get here and this time of year, they got her plugged in, and the plug, I tried to plug it in, and the plug is like all. I don't think they wanted. I don't think they wanted plugged in because they got everything all bent and everything. So I wanted a cold Diet Coke, but I was risking being electrocuted. So
is somebody playing a prank on you though? It could be that the outlet I saw at the airport that was a sticker of an outlet, and around the outlet it was hacked to absolutely nothing. people were so mad they couldn't get him in there. So just make sure you're not being
You know who did that? Buck Henry. That's
Buck Henry.
Buck Henry would have done that.
Are there any ball players frolicking?
Well, just we had the fantasy campers here last week, and I stopped by Saturday, and Perky's team. Perky's now a coach at fantasy camp. His team was playing for the World Championship, but they had about 120 guys down here of various ages, from 30 to 75 probably.
Yeah.
10 teams, 120 guys, and then they leave. And then the minor leaguers start. They have about 40 pitchers over here, young pitchers. They call it their command camp. That means throw strikes.
Right.
They got a bunch of kids over here. They got 15 of these analytical guys and new coaches. And Joe, and Wetmore came up with this. They keep adding and adding to their minor league staffs and stuff. They have hired, since last year, 13 guys from colleges that are now part of the pro organization.
Boy, they're really into the analytics now.
And they're into the college guys who they must think are smarter or been using them or something. But they got, like the manager of their Class A farm club down here, the now named the Mighty Muscles instead of the Miracle. The Mighty Muscles, I think they're trying to sell T-shirts.
Is that an official change they really
made?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Muscles as in seafood?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know why they're mighty. They had to make them mighty, and you got this outrageous, grotesque logo, which they hope sells some T-shirts. But he's from like Montana Billings, a Division II school. They hired him away from to be the manager down here. They're really diving into the idea that you'd have the same pitching coach in the minor leagues for 30 years is long since past. These guys they got all these young deep thinkers now.
Did I see that Toby is the new manager for AAA?
Toby, AAA, yeah. I would guess that Ramon Borrego, who's the guy in Pensacola, AA, and they like him a lot. But I would guess he wanted to stay in Florida. I think so.
Toby Gardner?
So Toby Gardner is now their AAA manager. So they must like him a lot.
Did Gardner survive with Detroit?
Yeah.
Yes, against his best wishes.
He tried, but they said, no, you can't quit.
Oh, really? I mean, like middle of September, he said, I'd like to be back, but I could understand if they fired me and they wouldn't do it. I would really like to go home and collect my $2.5 million, not having to watch this clown show.
Well, what's funny is, didn't they start out 20 and
they
21
were
or something?
18 and 19,
That's
I
what it
think.
was.
And they ended up 41 and 100. They got lucky the last week. They had a rain out. I think they were 43 and 100 or 42 and 119, but they didn't get to lose 120 because they got rained out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you like tonight, Patrick?
Oh, let me say this. Somebody tweeted me and said, how come they didn't play 162 games? I said they got lucky with the weather. I like my LSU Bayou Bengals. I like the Tigers. Of course, they're both Tigers, but I don't think it's a cinch, but LSU's has a more explosive offense. Although this long-haired quarterback from Clemson's a son of a gun, too. So.
These are two of the best quarterbacks in college football.
This game will last 4 hours, baby. Don't you think the winner's going to be in the 40s, aren't they, Reavers?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yeah, I think so. But I got to root for Ed Orgeron. There's no doubt about it, man.
Now, tell me about him. What's your appeal?
Well, he's from the Bayou, man. He's from way down there. I wrote a column about him the other day and only used half the stories, but I got to talk to Brian Butch Arsenault, who grew up with him and then played college football with him at Northwest. But Ed liked his cocktails in his youth, as he looks like he quit a few years back. But one of his buddies says he'd rather fight than eat when he was in the bars. He got fired, at the University of Miami. He was their defensive line coach because he was back home in Baton Rouge and got in a bar fight and headbutted somebody. This is 92, I think. And then And then he got. But the best story. Did you read that column I wrote?
Yes.
The best was when his buddy Arsenault broke his leg playing in the State Fair game in Shreveport against Louisiana Tech, and they were going to take him to the hospital, and he said, "No, Butch, don't go to the hospital. We're going out tonight."
Yeah.
So basically, he carried him from bar to bar on his back with a broken leg. carried him into the toilet.
Well, how do I not root for this guy?
Oh, you have
No,
to.
you got to root for him. Have you heard him talk, Joe?
Oh, yeah, a little drawl
He's
there.
this Cajun. Yeah, but he's got this growl.
I want to hear a sports talk radio show hosted by Ed Orgeron and Pat Williams.
Yes, that's right.
Wouldn't that be great?
great?
Oh.
Yeah. Because I think Ed is actually almost easier to understand than Pat.
Oh, yeah.
And Ed, you can't understand anything. But I'm very upset that I didn't get a hold of Mama. I couldn't get Coco on the phone. His mother, who's 5'10",
Yep.
and still lives on the bayou and as Cajun as can be, and apparently a character of the first magnitude. And the other guy I had in there, Arsenault's mother, which I love this story too, was Fury. Her nickname was Fury. And I said, "Why is she Fury?" And he said, "Just the reason you'd suspect. She could go from 0 to 100 faster than anybody in history." And he says, 2 cancer surgeries, survived, nothing's changed. He said she's in her 80s and she still gets agitated every time. It's an amazing story if you grew up with this guy who was, got thrown out of, basically went to LSU. He lasted 2 weeks. He came back. He was digging ditches and shoveling shrimp, and now he's coaching. LSU, which is as big as the Saints, and probably all around the state. It's bigger.
Well, here he is right now.
Oh, it's pretty big. Terrace Marshall and Daniel. Are we gonna have another one of these? Derek, you gonna tell him to be quiet? Thank you. Good.
No judge machine.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Terrace Marshall and Damian Lewis back.
This is his press conference from last week.
Terrace is a little bit further ahead than Damian. I think both of them are going to play. Damian is running straight ahead. He was running straight ahead yesterday on his own. I think the cutting is the thing that he's got to get used to, but it's only Monday in the game week. I expect him to play. I expect both of them to play.
I wanted to ask you about
It seems like he's so labored when he talks.
He played here in the 90s.
Right.
Dark times, not a lot of success. He said that you told him when you won the SEC, this is for everybody who's ever won the tournament.
Exactly right. That's right.
That was your time.
That's right.
No question. This is for everybody. I mean, I watched LSU football since I can remember. Coach Lindenbaugh recruited me. In fact, Coach Lindenbaugh was my neighbor when I was 2 years old. He coached at South Point High School. So I have a long history with LSU. I watched Ronnie Estee. Charlie Mack was one of my favorite coaches. I just loved the way the teams played. And I knew one day I'd get a chance to represent LSU, and it's just representing all the guys that played in the purple and gold. This is what we live for, is an opportunity for us to represent them on a big stage, and that's what we want to do. But Brian Madden,
he seems like, if he was yelling at me, if I was a fifth-string quarterback, which I was in my life, I would be panicked that I didn't understand what the hell he just told me.
Yeah, well, yeah. Fortunately, if you're a Louisiana kid, if you weren't Cajun, you grew up around them.
Probably.
So you can understand them.
I could understand them.
You know who his quarterback was in high school and college? Bobby Hebert, who then became the Saints quarterback. He was the guy when the Vikings went down there and kicked their ass. He's a sports talk in 87 or 8, and he's a sports talk show host down there. But Hebert said, I saw a quote from him saying that Ed Orgeron is the last hope for the survival of Cajun French. Yeah. Because he and his mother, there's a little film clip of them talking Cajun French to each other on a video hookup. And that's, a completely invented language down there in the bayou that includes Spanish and English and, they got this language of their own down African, about Native American, and it's this mingle of the whole thing that goes back 400 years, and he and his mom still talking to each other. All these guys grew up, who lived down there he's 58. At that age, their parents were still talking French.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Those days are really long.
I'll tell you what, I'm not sad that I wasn't able to cover the Vikings game in New Orleans, but I wish I'd been on that assignment because I would have went down 2 days early and driven down to the bayou and see where these guys come from. I think I read it's 37 miles long, this bayou, and all these little towns there. And he and his buddy Arsenault used to shovel shrimp in the summer. That'd be their summer job. They get $5 an hour because back in the in the late 70s.
I'm just seeing Saving Forrest Gump here.
Oh yeah. But the shrimp would be stacked 10 feet high, and they'd have to shovel it into these baskets up above their head. You're in there 14 hours a day in the summer.
Ugh.
You might not smell real good when it's over. And he said their friend Ricky would pick him up to take him to the bar, but he'd made him sit in the trunk. So they'd go to the bar. You got to be a real persuasive guy to come in there after 15 hours of shoveling shrimp and get some young lady to come home with you, don't you think?
What was your connection, Pat, to LSU football when you were young?
When I was a kid, in late 50s, there was a radio station down there that they played Saturday nights. Nobody else played Saturday nights. And there was a radio station down there like the Big Neighbor that had the Clear Channel signal. And I started listening to them in like 57, and I listened to them for 3-4 years pretty faithfully.
Were those the Billy Cannon years?
Yeah. They won the national championship in 58. But what I recall about it is the din in the background. You'd listen to a Gopher game and you'd hear some cheering. But at LSU, it was like a constant din, and you just knew that, it only held 50,000 then. It holds 80 or 90. I told you the story about the lieutenant colonel, didn't I?
No.
The lieutenant colonel, before he was a lieutenant colonel, he was a corporal or some damn thing. He was stationed in Biloxi, and he went over and met some LSU football fans on Friday night on Bourbon Street. And they convinced him to go to the game the next day. So he went down to the game, and he got to the tailgate. And he had no recollection of what happened in the second half. And he woke up next to a pot of gumbo being cooked out in the middle of the bayou, some damn place. He woke up there, and it turned out I was telling him about this town, where this guy's from, LaRose, or says, yeah, he said, I was like 3 miles from there in Cutoff, which is the hometown of Bobby Hebert. And these guys, he said, they partied all day, and then they drove him back to Biloxi at 3 o'clock in the morning or some damn thing. And they all slept in his little room down there. And luckily he didn't get bounced out of the service then, and is now near retirement. But,
we have Ogeron and his mother here. Just a minute.
You just came away.
Comment ça va? C'est bébé ici. Je suis bien content pour être le coach à LSU à Audrey.
Tous les temps, Luciano, il était assez content que sa primo garçon would take the head coach at LSU. My son, they'll see how the Cajuns are really like. Loving, giving, hard-working people. That's all we know.
Not much, but it's all I could find.
Oh yeah, that's there's a few. Coco's been overwhelmed, of course, with the requests from the media. But wow, and it's an amazing story. He was at Ole Miss, Joe, and from 2005 to 2008, and he won, what was it, 7 or 8 games total. He was terrible, and he got fired. But he's in the blind side. He's one of the coaches that they have coming to recruit the Michael O'Hare, the kid that's a featured attraction in the blind side. And he'd already been fired at Ole Miss, but he agreed to come up and tape into the movie to be put in the film.
Speaking of Ole Miss, we got to go to an Egg Bowl now that Leach is in.
Oh, Leach and Lane Kiffin. This is heaven, man. Except, you know what? Leach, he was stuck up there in Pullman, Washington, but he's got himself in the SEC West now. Cool. Good luck, buddy. Good luck, LSU and Alabama and Auburn and good luck. That's not exactly like playing in the Pac-12 North. That's for sure.
How far is Baton Rouge from New Orleans?
Oh, I looked it up. It's a ways. It's a couple hours, I think. It's a ways. Yeah, it's not right next to not right next to it. That's for sure. But I was looking at the map, and they got like these 3 peninsulas that stick down into the Gulf, and this one that he grew up on is the middle one. But I was talking to Killer Anderson, and that's their big hunting area down there. They kill some ducks down there. Mm-hmm. Somehow this guy managed to grow up there, doesn't fish, doesn't hunt, doesn't, he basically just grew up working and drinking. Yeah. But he's if Hollywood was making a movie, they'd cast him, wouldn't they, as the LSU football coach? Yeah.
I do have a funny. I don't have the audio for it because it doesn't really come through. I have the audio, but it doesn't really come through. It's another press conference, but a big part of his appeal, it says, is his connection with the community. It's part of what makes him so successful at LSU. To the untrained ear, however, his speech patterns are difficult to parse. This was evident in the valiant efforts of the closed captions people during Oregon's press conference when they didn't understand what he was saying, so it was null and void. They just gave up.
Yeah, it was. I agree with Joe, though. I think he must have worked on his enunciation, because I remember when he got a job a couple of years ago, and I'm saying, this guy needs closed caption, man.
That's essentially why USC didn't keep him.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, he went 6-2 out there with a bad team. But
here he is in 2016, his first.
It's a great day in Tiger football. It's a great day in my life, I promise you that. First of all, I want to thank Joe Oliva, King Alexander, and the Tiger family for having the confidence and named me the head coach at LSU. This is a great day for us. I want to introduce my wonderful wife, Kelly. She is my head coach, and my son, Tyler. You guys please stand. Give him a hand there. Thank you. I want to thank Coach Miles for bringing me here. And it's a place that I always want to come. Coach Miles is a great man, as we all know, and he's taught me a lot of stuff. I've competed against him. And Coach Miles left the team in first class, and he walked out and he said, Ed, I'll support you. And we gave him a standing ovation, and on we moved on. Coaching here at LSU, I grew up watching Ronnie Estee and Arthur Cantrell and Charlie Mack coach, and watch Pete Jenkins coach, who, by the way, is going to be back here tomorrow, and we're happy about that. And just watching the passion and the energy in Tiger Stadium, and having been an opponent coming into the stadium and understand the intimidation of the Tiger family.
Fleck is just as much of a character, but for totally different reasons.
Yes, yeah. Fleck is, and I got a hunch that Ed, I think I always get the impression PJ knows what he's going to say next. I think Ed probably not too sure, right? I think he's just talking, don't you?
You ever see the movie The King's Speech?
Oh yeah.
Well, I think Ed probably had a coach there. They're working on it.
Yeah, they probably are. That's true. I love that state, though. Because whenever I've been there, I mean, it's just filled with characters and great writing down there. Their sports writers have always been good. I got some friends who are sports writers, but they have such a rich things to call on. I mean, everybody's, every place they go, they're going to run into goofballs and characters. And I mean, you live down there, man. It's different. There's the town that he ended up going to Northwestern State, which is up on the border over by Texas, and Nacogdoches, which is right next to, and on the Texas side it's Nacogdoches, which is spelled the opposite, and it's every place in that state is just, you got goofballs all over, and that's why.
You got to go home and help the wife with cable TV?
Oh, man, if I'm not there. The threats have been made.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's, I brought this up before, but she just doesn't like me as well as she used to.
Well, I get to that point, Pat.
Yeah, I know.
My question would be, did she even like you that much then?
I keep telling her, we had a pretty good run for about 3 or 4 years.
Not over. Hang on a second.
Where we got along. No. I mean,
okay.
For 20 years we battled, right?
Right.
Then we had 4, 5, 6 years that weren't bad. Weren't bad, but boy, the last 2 or 3, she's raised her standards for my behavior. I want to tell you, and I haven't raised my behavior. That's the problem. So
you know what might help? How about a little fondue?
A little fondue, maybe, yeah. Bring her some fondue.
Worst time in American history.
Eating out of the palm of your hand with fondue.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have that down here, do they?
Yeah,
but,
no idea. You get a pot, you put
well,
some
here's the problem, Here's the problem. She's very upset about the TV, the way, they came in and the whole complex put in a new provider. They got rid of Xfinity and brought in whatever this outfit is. Mm-hmm. And that was about 4 days ago, and it's been screwed up. So she's very upset about that. But when she gets home, she's going to have streaming instead of what she had previously.
Oh, boy.
And if that doesn't work, it's all over.
It's done.
I'll be living in that little shed outside around the corner there. I'll be moving into the shed.
Well, you better have it done because The Bachelor is on at 8:00 your time tonight. So
she's not into that, but
she's not okay.
Only Rookie is.
Only my family member.
If she misses some housewives screaming at each other, she gets very upset.
Maybe that's what she's trying to be, a housewife of Golden Valley.
I keep telling her that I don't think this anger on the housewives is spontaneous. I think it's scripted.
You think there might be a producer prodding?
I think they might say, "Come on, tell her she's a B word or something." So I don't know.
Hey, we should mention the Gophers beat Michigan.
Yes, Daniel Otura. Enjoy him while you can. He'll be in the lottery next year. He'll be top 10 draft choice. Don't you? Right, Reba?
He is a beast.
And he's got good feet, and he can shoot a little bit. And, if I was playing the Gophers, I would double-team him at all times and hope that the outside shooters aren't making their shots.
He was a missed tip from them beating Purdue in overtime last week, too.
And Purdue goes and gets 37 points against Illinois the next game. And then last night, the day before, they held Michigan State to 42.
Yeah.
So it's a weird what's going on in college hoops.
Oturu hurt his shoulder yesterday, had to go into the locker room. They thought he was dead and never going to see him again. He came out and played again.
Yes, he was. He's a stud, that's for sure. How did he get up? Did he grow up wanting to go to Cretin there, Rook? Is that his there?
The only thing I know about him is I told Sophia, if he does become a lottery pick, then you can call him back. Now, hold steady. Well, he inquired once, and Sophia said, "I'm not interested."
Don't rush into that stuff. Let's stay making. You can marry for love, and you can marry for money, and money lasts a lot longer.
That's what I said. Don't do what Mom and I did. Marry for money first, love the second time.
The Twin Cities version of Confucius, Greg Wong. That's ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you better go and fix that problem.
All right, I'll let you know how she came out.
Okay, very good.
All right, see you. All right, all this talk about Cajun has got me talking about Jack's Cafe. Jack's Cafe online at jackscafe.com. I would do yourself a favor, and the Jack's annual Mardi Gras brunch is Sunday, February 23rd. You need to call for reservations, but some of the great stuff they have on the menu here is very Cajun, and I want you to experience that. So whether or not it's the Mardi Gras brunch or maybe it's just date night, pick up the Rookie VIP date night menu, and you will get dinner for two, 4-course meal, dessert included, and a bottle of wine. You'll get to see what the backyard, the patio looks like. I don't know how they decorate it after the holidays. You'll find out, and you can report back to me. If you would like to maybe book a party, your work party, or maybe your family party, or maybe your wedding. They can accommodate up to 300, and they do it with style. Great ambiance. Give them a buzz at Jack's Cafe. Go to jackscafe.com, 612-789-7297. They're at 1928 University Avenue Northeast, right at 20th, and you will have a wonderful meal, wonderful ambiance, and you'll be telling others just like I am right now. It is jackscafe.com, 3 generations of family, wonderfully run business. Don't forget to tell me you heard it on the Monday Night Sports Talk podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. It's crazy to think that a few weeks ago we were talking about whether or not Tua Tagovailoa should consider retiring after 2 concussions and worldwide debates on player safety and NFL culpability. Tua has done nothing but go back to work and currently has the Dolphins riding a 3-game win streak and 1 loss behind the division favorite Buffalo Bills. While everyone was yapping about the end of his career, Tua Tagovailoa said he'll decide when it's time. And clearly, he's not ready to hang up the cleats. Hi, this is Chris Howard from the Plugged In with Chris Howard podcast. BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting, up-to-the-minute scores for the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including the MLB playoffs, the start of the NHL season, MMA, boxing, and golf. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.